in money markets, you see, look at the word plural. In money markets, you have different types of money markets. In money markets, securities traded in them, their maturities are up to 1 year, or that is 1 year or less. So all securities, all financial securities with maturities less than 1 year or less than or equal to 1 year, they are traded in money markets. And such securities are highly liquid. Liquid in the sense that they can easily be converted into cash or into money. For example, T-bills, right? Treasury bills, right? Yes, you can easily convert. If you have treasury bills now and you need money, Monday you can just walk into any, to your bank, and then you can just decide to discount and get your money. Very liquid. So securities traded in money markets are liquid, highly liquid securities. And that is why money markets are so called, because the securities traded in said markets, they can easily be converted into money. You can easily convert them into cash. Right? Yeah, so that's what they are so called. So money markets are so called because securities traded in them are close, right, to be become money. Right. The examples of securities traded in money markets are, we have T-bills, repurchase agreement, commercial paper, negotiable certificates of deposit. Dennis, the bankers here, can you educate your colleagues on the negotiable certificates of deposit? Does Fidelity Bank offer? I think somebody has also indicated that she's with ABSA also. Is there anybody here with ABSA?
Yes, sir.
So are you familiar with negotiable certificates of deposit?
Not on top of it, per where I say it.
But are you a banker or just a mole person there?
No, I'm a banker. I'm a banker.
A chartered one?
No.
Sorry. Oh, okay. But what do you do there? What do you do? Are you a teller or maybe what is your schedule at ABSA?
Yeah, I'm on the sales side. I'm a personal banker.
Personal banker, okay. Right. And you are not familiar with negotiable certificate of deposit?
I am, but I might not be able to speak to it with authority.
Okay. So what you know, if what you know, share it with us.
Okay. So as we talk about the negotiable instrument, as you mentioned, the treasury bill, and then maybe draft, manager's check or banker's draft, and all those things. What I know about this is that for the treasury bill, I believe most of us are aware of it and they know how it works. So I might not be able to talk about it so much, but I can go to the draft aspect of it, which is the manager's check and then the banker's payment. For bankers' payment, is just we deal with bank to bank. We don't give it to individual customers to purchase an item, but we can give to the bank directly as soon as the payment on behalf of a customer or a client. So we interchange it between banks per the customer's instruction. But for the banker's draft, which is normally we call a bank draft.
But by the way, who is speaking?
Sorry, this is Emmanuel.
Emmanuel, you have not introduced yourself.
No, I did. Emmanuel Gadriadoko. Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. But if you are here and you have not introduced yourself in your own interest, do it. Because you commit a crime if you don't.
I haven't, dog. I haven't.
Who are you? Is it Vanessa?
Fidelia.
Fidelia, okay. Fidelia who?
Fidelia Fusiabrefa.
Oh, okay. Sister Fidelia, where do you work and what is your marital status?
Office of the Register of Companies.
Okay. Where? In Accra?
Head office, yes, please.
Oh, okay. And Fidelia, your marital status?
I'm single.
searching or not searching?
100%. I'm searching.
Okay. So, so
Oh,
Mila, you are
Fidelia,
happy
I'm
now.
here. Then is our marriage.
Okay. Mhm.
Hello, sir. Please, this is Vanessa.
Hi.
I've not introduced myself also.
Okay, Vanessa.
Yes.
Where do you work?
Please, I'm currently not working.
Oh, okay. May God grant you mercy and for you to
Amen.
find your dream job.
Amen.
Okay. And then it is obvious that because you are not working, it's obvious that you are not married, right?
Exactly.
Okay. And you are not searching too.
No.
That's good.
He's
So you're
searching
not
for a
married.
job.
Yeah. You're not married. It's not you. You have to get. You have to find a job first before you think about
Mm.
marriage. Because these days, most men don't want to marry unemployed ladies for security reasons.
Mm.
For security reasons, so because the burden is too much and you cannot just it cannot be on the man alone. At least something small from the woman will do a lot. Yeah. Okay. Right. I mean, unlike Dennis, for Dennis, because he's a banker, he has access to a lot of money. So even if the wife is not working, that's okay. The money will be sufficient to take care of them and the kids. And apart from that, apart from his salary, he has access to concessionary loan that the interest is so negligible. It's a very small interest. The bankers, they are enjoying themselves, so they are enjoying at the expense of the poor, clients. Okay. And I mean, anytime that you need a loan, it's a matter of just telling your branch manager, and you'll get it. Right? You'll get it. How I wish I were a banker. Okay. Right. So Emmanuel was on the floor when I interrupted. Emmanuel, I mean, so just the negotiable certificate of deposit. I mean, does your bank or issue such an instrument?
Yes, they do, but it doesn't sit with the branches.
Okay.
Yes, they have a designated desk at the head office who does those things. The branches are limited to some of these transactions.
Okay. Okay. You are with ABSA, right?
Yes, please.
Look, as a personal banker.
As a personal banker, yes, sir.
Okay, so how long have you been there?
14 years.
Hey, I see. That's good. That's good. Then you're somebody who say you have chopped money. Gosh.
Rough, what up is papa?
Hey, I see. Ima, I thank God for your life.
And Maria has done 16 years.
Oh, I see. I see. That's good. I mean, just make sure that you keep yourself clean so that you return quietly with all your.
That's very true.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Make
That's
sure
very true.
you are very vigilant, you are diligent, and make sure that you don't get yourself into any trouble, whatever, so that you retire with all your benefits intact, right? Somebody, when I see that somebody has worked, for some years, I'm happy for the person because people don't survive. Somebody gets into a position 2 years, 3 years, trouble strikes and the person is out of them. May that not be your portion. May you go through, all the years that you have, to spend there without any trouble.
Amen.
Amen.
Yeah,
Amen.
yeah,
Amen, Prof.
yeah. Mm.
God bless you.
Amen. Because to work in vain, you work so hard and then something small comes up and you have to lose your job. It is not a pleasant experience at all. If you're a man and you lose your job, especially if you're a married man and you lose your job, you have also lost your marriage. Because in the first 3 months, the lady may pretend that, well, it's okay, all is okay. After 3 months, you may find your food in the kitchen. If you are not careful, you will not even find any food. Okay. All right. Now let's move on. So we want to look at, please, if you have any question as I move along, feel free to, because I want the class to be interactive. I don't want to be just to be one-sided and, kind of, So if you have any contribution to make, you have any question to ask as I move along, please just do so. Now, we have just talked about money markets and the instruments. Negotiable certificate deposit, what it means is that you can pass it on, you endorse it and pass it on, right, to someone who wants to hold it. When it matures, what we call the holder, in due course, right, the holder, yes, may get the value. So the one who is original buyer may not necessarily be the one who enjoy the value when that the deposit matures. Maybe by the time it matures, it has changed hands several times. But the one who has it gets the value for it. Now we want to turn our attention to capital markets. All financial instruments that have maturities of more than 1 year, they are said to be traded in capital markets. But sometimes when you talk about capital market, what comes to mind are stock exchanges, right? Stock exchanges such as Ghana Stock Exchange, New York Stock Exchange, Johannesburg Stock Exchange. But the point is that capital markets, they are market for trading long-term securities with maturities of more than 1 year. Right. And so when you talk about the capital markets, exchanges, we talk about the exchanges performing primary role and then what? Secondary role. Primary role that they make it possible for, that you talk about stock exchanges, they make it possible for firms to raise capital through the sale of shares, right? For the first time. Yes, that is if the ones. So for example, a firm that has been in existence for some time, if it decides to flow shares on an exchange, the exchange at that time will be performing its primary function. Then when the shares have been issued, the firm and the owners will want to trade the shares. The shares will be trading in secondary market, and then the exchange will be performing its secondary function. So the capital market instruments, you have shares, you have bonds, you have long-term loans. Remember that we have said that the financial environment or the financial manager is made up of what? Is made up of financial markets and financial institutions. So far, we have looked at financial markets. We turn our attention to financial institutions. Now, the financial institutions are entities that, are engaged in the flow of funds. In fact, they are also called financial intermediaries. Financial intermediaries. They go between. In fact, the layman's understanding, even if you are confused about financial institutions, just see them as what? As betweeners. Right? Yeah, I think those of you who have lived in the village before, do people still engage the services of betweeners? That you see For example, you see Maria, you are interested in Maria, but you cannot say it as a guy. Then you engage the services of Dennis. Dennis, you are her co-worker. I'm interested, but I'm afraid I cannot say it. So say it for me. In that context, Dennis will be a betweener. Right? Will be the betweener between the guy who is interested in Maria and Maria. So that's how financial institutions behave. They are betweeners. They go between the surplus units and the deficit units. Right? The surplus units will give their funds to financial institutions. Then the financial institutions will in turn make the funds available to the deficit units. And I think I've explained who the surplus units are. Surplus units, then you have what? Deficit units. Right. Now, who are the surplus units? Hello? Who are the deficit units? The surplus units. We have discussed them here, please. Hello? Should I mention names? Beatrice.
So, Prof.
Yes, Prof.
Yeah, Beatrice wants to say something.
Yes, you mentioned that these are units who earn more than they spend.
Thank you. And the deficit units, they earn less than they spend, right? Okay. And somebody wanted to say something. The guy wanted to say something, right?
Oh, I'm okay. This is John Mark.
Okay. Okay. So the entities, we can classify them into that is the financial institutions. We can classify them into three. Financial institutions, they are also called what? Financial intermediaries, right? Financial intermediaries. We can classify them into depository institutions, contractual institutions, and then investment institutions, right? So financial intermediaries or financial institutions, they are used interchangeably, right? We can classify them or we can categorize them into three: depository institutions, contractual institutions, investment institutions. Now, what are the depository institutions? They take deposits from the public. That's what they are described as, what? Depository financial institutions. They take deposits from the public. Examples are what? Commercial banks. In Ghana, and we no more talk about commercial banks, right? We talk about universal banks, because there's a difference between universal banking or a universal bank and a commercial bank. The bankers, do you know the difference? Maria. Maria is with what? Fidelity, right? Maria. Oh, she's Maria is with Fidelity. Dennis.
Yes, please. Yes.
Okay. So, do you know the difference between a universal bank and a commercial bank?
A universal bank and a commercial bank. From where I sit, I think it's the same. Just that the universal bank would do a whole lot of things much higher than what the commercial bank would do.
So they are not the same.
We have some banks that are focused on investment, though they do commercial activities. We also have banks that are also focused on, let's say, a particular sector of the economy, say agri and other stuff. So if I would get it right, then the universal bank will do all this, and then whilst the commercial bank is focused.
So the point is that in terms of focus, a universal bank performs, or that in terms of scope, not focus, sorry, in terms of scope, the scope of universal banking or universal bank's operations is broader than the scope of a commercial bank's operations, right? And that is why in Ghana, I think we upgraded the commercial banks into universal banks. In fact, universal banks are licensed to engage in what we call omnibus financial services, depending on their level of capitalization. Omnibus financial services. You know, the commercial banking, the traditional, our commercial bank, the traditional rule is just taking deposit and making loans and all that. But universal banking goes beyond that to engage in investment banking, right? That is securities underwriting and all that, cash management, mergers and takeovers and all that. But once you have a universal banking license, that is what you can do, can engage in. In fact, also engaging in insurance services, what we call bank assurance, right? Yes, yeah. So a universal bank performs what? Omnibus financial services, right? Compared to a commercial bank, right? Yes. Okay. So, I mean, depository financial institutions, they take deposit and make loans. Examples are, whether we find commercial banks or universal bank, credit unions, savings and loans. But the point is that, please, the fact that a financial institution is a depository institution does not make it a bank. Okay? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Being a depository financial institution doesn't make you a bank. Because no matter how long a log spends in a river, it doesn't become a crocodile. Hello?
Very true.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you may do all kinds of things that the savings and credit unions, they do just like they do their services are not significantly different from the services of a bank, but they are not banks. Right. They are, in fact, we call them what? They are what we call thrift institutions. Thrift institutions. Right. Thrift institutions. Savings and loans, credit unions, and we call it thrift institutions. Thrifts. Thrift means small saving, something small saving. So if a guy is stingy, one way of describing him, you can also call him is thrifty. Thrift means small savings. So thrift institutions, they promote what? Small savings. Right. So credit unions, savings and loans, they are all, though they come under the family of what? Under the family or under the umbrella of depository financial institutions, but they are not banks. Then we can also talk about the contractual. They take funds or they take deposits on contractual basis. Examples are insurance companies, property casualty insurance companies, life insurance companies. They take deposits, but the deposits they take the deposit in a different way. For example, the premium you pay is a form of deposit, but on contract basis. Pension funds, right? Pension funds are also examples of what? Pension funds are also examples of contractual financial institutions. They take your deposit, they take your money, but on contract. Pension funds, they take money from you towards your pension and save it towards your pension. And I will advise everyone that those of you who are employed, take good care of your pension. Especially those who are married, take good care of your pension, because at the moment, you may not have any financial challenge. But when you are out of strength, when you are out of energy, when you are old, you may not be able to work. And if there's nothing for you to live on, in fact, life becomes miserable for you. And may that not be your portion, right? Make sure that you manage your pension well. Beyond or apart from the compulsory, that is a Senate one, please take advantage of other investment options. Other pension opportunities available. For example, you may buy life insurance company. They sell some, products that are good. Annuities. Think about them. Buy life insurance policies, right? Buy a number of them. Insure your life. Insure the life of your partner. Insure the lives of your children, if any. Your in-laws, insure them. Think about your future. Don't think about today. Right? Are you there, please?
Hello, sir.
Yes.
So with the life insurance, is it that when you go on retirement that you also have access to that one?
No, in some cases, some of them, yeah, we have different types of life insurance policies. For example, we have some of the policies that are endowment policies. Endowment policies, if you buy them, if you buy an endowment policy, you may enjoy the benefit whilst you are alive, because that policy has a maturity date.
Okay.
Yeah. So sometimes 10 years, you contribute for 10 years. If after 10 years you are still alive, they will pay the benefit to you.
Okay.
Yeah. And even in fact, you don't have to, at some point, especially when you get married and you give birth, don't think about it. We must stop thinking about yourself. Think about the children. So even if you don't go for an endowment policy, but you go for, let's say, whole life policy, where you contribute, then you may not be the beneficiary. It's good. The Bible says that a good man leaves inheritance for his children's children. You must leave an inheritance. You must leave something for your children. When you die, they can also enjoy and praise you. John Mark, your hand is raised. Do you have anything to say?
Yes, Prof. First of all, thank you for this education. But to add that, please, all of us we should take it upon ourselves to go and also intermittently check the records and update our records. Some of us, at our pensions, we use our mothers and our brothers' names. And then whilst we have grown and we are working, married, and then those records to reflect our brothers and our mothers' name without our spouses and our children's records there. When some of the events of life happens, these records become very, very controversial to deal with and becomes quite issues for contentions in court. So
okay,
they should
update your records. If you are, please think about your future. Think about your pension, right? Don't think about just today. No, think about it. So yes, it's a good a piece of advice. Check your records. Be interested in your pension. Update your records, right? Think about your future. Well, it's a future that matters, not today. When you are out of employment, if you have not managed yourself well, your finances well, you'll be in trouble. Right? So don't go through corporate finance, for example, and then your life will be and let your life remain the same. There should be a positive change in the way you do things, especially in the way you manage your personal finances. Okay? Right. So we have the contractual insurance, and I recommend insurance policies, life insurance policies. Please try to get some. The insurers among us, try to take the opportunity to market some of the products you have. Are you SIC guy? Are you the SIC Life or SIC General?
SIC General.
Oh, okay. But even that, your
But
property, you
there
can
are
insure your
policies
property.
that we can do to mitigate future events for you.
Okay.
Even with the bankers can sell the bank assurance for them too. So
okay. All right. So just help.
Bankers, be careful. Bankers,
yeah. Insure your children, insure your in-laws, and make sure. I mean, something small, and if
and our government is also taking tax.
Yes.
Which is also a different thing altogether.
Okay. And what I know is that if you buy a life policy, it is tax deductible. You get a tax advantage. Right? You get a tax advantage if you buy a life policy. You subtract the premium from your income before you pay tax. So you get a tax advantage. All right. The other one is what? The other group is investment intermediary. Investment intermediaries, what they do is that they help you to invest your surplus funds. If you don't know how to invest your surplus funds, so finance companies, we have mutual funds. These are all institutions that help you to manage your surplus to invest your surplus funds. Okay, so this I've explained them. You can get it. Then, as part of corporate finance, we talk about corporate governance. But the point is that the whole program, your program, is corporate governance. So it's like preaching or teaching a magician's son how to perform magic. Yeah, right. It's not so corporate governance. So I think you know what corporate governance is and all that. So I don't want to bore you with our rehash the very things that we've just talked about. But what I have here, corporate governance is defined from three perspectives. You have the regulatory definition, stakeholder definition, and agency conflict definition. The regulatory definition said that corporate governance is the system by which firms are controlled and directed. And the stakeholder says that corporate governance refers to the process by which firms respond to the rights and concerns of stakeholders. Then the agency conflict definition of corporate governance says that it's a mechanism in which suppliers of finance can assure themselves of receiving some return on their investment. And there are a lot of things here that the key corporate governance dimensions. That is, if you are assessing the corporate governance of the corporate governance system of a firm, the key dimension that should be of interest to you. One is the management oversight. They want to know how are the managers of the firm overseen? Who has that oversight responsibility? In this case, we are talking about the board. Do you look at the board of the company, the board of directors of the company, the composition of the board? So, for example, if I go to say Fidelity, and I want to assess the governance system of Fidelity, one of the things that I have to be interested in is the oversight. So then the oversight here, my interest lies in the board of directors. Who are the board? Who are the members of the board? How is the board led? Who is the leader of the board? Right? The board members. What are their differences? That we are talking about board diversity. And all kinds of things, right, will come under the board. How often does the board meet? These are all come under the management oversight dimension of the governance system of the firm. Then the financial quality dimension, here I am looking at how well the funds of the firm or the funds of shareholders are protected. So here I want to look at whether there's an audit committee audit committee? Who are the members of the audit committee? Is there an audit committee charter? Who are the external auditors of the firm? If I am assessing the governance system, right, of Fidelity in terms of the financial quality, right, is the financial quality, right? I may ask questions and seek information on these things that I've just talked about. Audit committee, who are the members of the audit committee? How often does the audit committee meet? Is there an audit committee charter and all that? I will look at that. Then the next thing I'll be interested in the ownership structure of Fidelity. Here, I may want to look at it. That is how the shares of the firm are distributed. Who are the shareholders? Are the shares in the hands of many shareholders, or the shares are in the hands of few shareholders? Because these are all things that will have implications. If the shares are in the hands of many shareholders, it has implications. If the shares are in the hands of a few shareholders, you see, when the shares of the firm or of a firm are in the hands of many shareholders, we call it what? Dispersed ownership structure. It has its own challenges. If the shares of the firm are in the hands of a few concentrated ownership structure, here there's implications, right? And all that. So I will assess these three dimensions and then form my opinion as to whether the firm has a good governance system or not. Another thing that is in corporate governance, which we may discuss on a corporate finance, is agency theory. The agency theory says that there's a conflict between two people who have interest in the same class of the same assets, right? And here, specifically, the conflicts may occur between shareholders and managers of the company, shareholders and bondholders. Between two shareholder groups, controlling shareholders, or what we call insiders, and then outsider minority shareholders. So, agency conflicts may occur, right, between shareholders and managers, shareholders and bondholders. The bondholders, we are talking about those who have lent to the firm. And then between two shareholder groups, shareholders who are actively involved in the day-to-day running of the firm, we call them controlling or insiders, controlling shareholders or insiders. And then shareholders who are not actively involved in the day-to-day running of the firm, we call them outsiders or minority or non-controlling shareholders. There's a conflict. Now, agency theory helps us to understand that, yes, conflicts exist, especially between shareholders and managers, where managers want to manage the firm, right, in pursuit of their personal aggrandizement at the expense of shareholders, right? And so we have all these things captured there. I am just, rushing through because, corporate governance is the program. So I'm sure that these things, you are familiar with them. There are three factors that explain the agency problem or the agency conflict. We have divergence of ownership and control. We have information asymmetry. Now, when I talk about information asymmetry, we are referring to imbalance of information between two parties. One party having better information than the other and taking advantage of that better information. So managers, by virtue of being in charge of the firm, they know the firm better than the owners of the firm. And they try to use the better information they have to pursue their own interest. Right. Then the incongruence of goals between managers and shareholders. Right. And two authors, they have come out with, 4 types of agency problem or agency conflict. Managerial agency. When we talk about managerial agency or managerialism, we are referring to the conflict between shareholders and managers. Right. Then debt agency is a conflict between shareholders and bondholders or debt holders. Then you have the social agency, which is the conflict between the private sector and the public sector. And then political agency, which is the conflict between the elected and the electorate. Right? The elected and the electorate. Our focus is on the first two. In corporate governance, our focus is on the first two. That is the conflict between shareholders and managers, and then the conflict between shareholders and debt holders. Now, the conflict, agency problem or the agency conflict manifests itself in the following. And that is why we are learning, though our course, this particular model is corporate finance, we are talking about agency conflict because it has some connection with the decisions that constitute the corporate finance function. Do you remember that we have talked about corporate finance being made up of four main decisions, and later we saying that we have reduced them into three. Investment decision is not part of the decisions constituting the corporate finance function.
Yes.
Yeah. Now the agency problem or agency conflict manifests itself in the investment decision. Somebody will say, or somebody will ask, how? Managers are interested in, when managers are making investment decisions, because short-term decisions yield short-term results, which will make them ask for short-term compensation. Managers want to make short-term decisions. And in life, even at the personal level, when your decisions are short-term, you endanger your future. And that's why I applaud you for making the decision to enroll on this program. It's a long-term decision that you have made. The results may not manifest immediately, but in the future, you'll get the results for enrolling on this program. Right. So managers, because of their parochial interest, right, and their natural proclivity to ask for annual pay rise, when they are making decisions, they are interested in short-term, because short-term decisions or short-term projects will yield short-term returns for them to use the returns as the basis to ask for an annual pay rise. But if they do that, if they focus on short-term decisions or short-term projects, they may be sacrificing the future of the firm right now, right, on the altar of their personal interest. They will be sacrificing the future. So whereas managers are interested in short-term projects, shareholders are interested in long-term projects because it's a long-term project that will sustain the company. So you see that there's a conflict. Are you with me here? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Now, financing decision, is it not part of the corporate finance function? The agency conflict manifests itself. How?
Yes, sir.
Yes. How does it manifest itself? When it comes to financing a project,
Yes, sir.
right? When it comes to financing a project, managers are interested in equity finance. When we talk about equity finance, it is what the owners of a company have contributed or have invested in the company. That's equity, right? Equity finance or equity fund is what has come from the owners of the firm. That is the equity capital, right? Now, debt capital is what the firm has borrowed, whether from banks or any other source, right? So that capital does not belong to the owners of the firm. Now, managers are interested in equity finance. Why? Because you see, equity capital comes with no conditions. And remember that I've indicated it here that dividend payable on, because when you invest in shares, I've told you that there are two possible outcomes, right? What are they? Dividend and capital gain. Capital gain is not dependent on, it's not the decision of the share, the managers. Just the market forces that will determine whether you make capital gain or you make capital loss. But when it comes to dividend, it's at the discretion of the board of directors. And the dividend payment on ordinary shares, ordinary capital, or share capital is not compulsory, right? And so managers, when they use equity to finance projects, they are happy because there is no burden on them. There's no compulsory or mandatory payment on such capital. Contrasted with debt, because debt, when you borrow, there are conditions attached to the borrowing. For example, IMF conditionalities. If you borrow, there are conditions. There are some conditionalities that you have to what? You have to comply with. So managers don't like financing new projects or financing their activities with debt. right? Instead, they are interested in equity, right? Yeah, because equity comes, all right, with no obligations, no mandatory whatever that you have to what you have to honor. Now, so whereas managers are interested in equity financing, shareholders are interested in debt financing. Why? Because, I mean, if a firm finances a new project or a new activity with debt, it creates an additional layer of monitoring. Well, the debt, whilst the owners, that's the shareholders are monitoring the managers, the debt holders or the bond holder, those who have lent to the firm will also be doing what? Monitoring. So you have two layers of what? Of monitoring. And that is likely to, I mean, compel managers to do what is right. So shareholders are interested in debt financing, whilst managers are interested in what? In equity financing. So you see the conflict. All right. And then also the divergence of interest of shareholders and debt holders. That's another manifestation. The debt holders, having said it here, in finance, the higher the risk, the higher the return. Right? In finance, the higher the risk, the higher the return. So whereas the owners of a company are interested in the firm engaging in risky projects, high risk projects, which will yield high returns, those who have lent to the firm, they don't want the firm to engage in high risk projects because high risk projects may lead to the collapse of the firm, which will mean that their debt will not be repaid or their debt may not be repaid. So they want the firm to engage in low risk projects, whilst shareholders are interested in the high risk project. So you see that there's a conflict between shareholders and debt holders or bond holders. And also, you see the owners of the firm, right? The owners of the firm, if the firm fails, what they will lose is the amount they have invested in the shares. They don't lose anything. Now, those who have lent to the firm, they are losing their money because they are not enjoying it apart from the interest that the firm is paying them, right? So you see that there's a conflict between the two groups. Now, how do we manage it? The managing, we have we have external mechanisms and you have internal mechanisms. The external mechanisms include the outside managerial labor market. Yeah, that's all. If the outside managerial labor market is so active, then if a manager is not performing or a manager is behaving in a way that is injurious to the interests of shareholders, they can easily get rid of that manager and replace him or her with a new person. That if the labor market is active. But if the labor market is inactive, then this may not be this mechanism for mitigating the agency problem or managing the agency problem may not arise. Mind the agency problem is also agency conflict. And the point that I have to make here is that you cannot eliminate the agency problem, please, or you cannot eradicate the agency. You can only mitigate the agency problem. The agency problem cannot be eliminated. It can only be mitigated. So please bear this in mind. Now, we can also have monitoring from the capital market by financial analysts. See, if the managers of the company know that some experts are monitoring them, they may tone down their selfish ambitions. Then when you have institutional shareholders, institutions that invest in other institutions, if institution A invest in institution B, institution A becomes an institutional shareholder of institution A becomes institutional shareholder of institution B, right? Though usually institutional shareholder, they have obligations. For example, SNET, if it invests in you, SNET has obligations. The obligations are towards pensioners, right? And so SNET, if the SNET invests in a particular company, all things being equal, SNET will make sure that the right thing is done, that the company does the right thing to increase, the wealth or to grow the wealth, right? So that SNET can meet the obligations it has towards its contributors or subscribers. Block shareholders can also, when you say a block shareholder, someone or shareholders block shareholders are those who have bought the shares of the company in large quantities. Now, I mean, it is believed that where a man's wealth is, there his heart is also. Now, if you have invested a lot, right, in something, would you just allow it to go down the drain? No. That's why some men, when they invest in you, if you misbehave, they want to kill you because they know that they have done a lot. Right? You have really sapped them. You have really drained their pocket. And so if you start misbehave, if you are not careful, they will eliminate you. But if you're a man, you have that mentality, change. Because if you invest in a lady, it doesn't make the lady your property. The lady is not your property. Right? Or
you take it as bad investment.
Yes, bad investment. Very good, brother. You are in the spirit. You understand the game. But what happens? Let me ask you this question. Assuming that you have constructed a whole petrol or filling station for a lady, you are a side chick, and the lady says that she's no more interested in the relationship. What happens?
Is this question addressed to the guys only or the men only?
I won't do that mistake by putting the company in her name. Registering the business in her name.
So he can do it for love.
The lady says she's no more interested, and the company is in her name. So what happens?
So please, you did it out of love, so you just let go.
You let what go? Hey, sister.
Yes, sir.
The things we do for love.
Me, somebody will say that, well, the station will burn. You get some people to burn the place. That's all. So that nobody enjoys it. Now, another thing is the takeover market. When the takeover market is active, it can also serve as a check on the managers. It can mitigate agency problem because they know that the managers know that if they don't behave well, one way of getting rid of them is through a takeover or maybe a measure, right? So when the company, the managers or the owners can easily arrange for the company to be taken over, and then as managers, you are likely to lose your job, right? So that can mitigate. So these are external mechanisms that can mitigate. Please, they cannot eliminate. They can mitigate the agency. But the internal mechanisms, just the natural monitoring can also help. But the ultimate monitor, the ultimate monitor here, that is from the perspective of agency theory, is what? Is board of directors. Because from the perspective of stewardship theory, the board is not supposed to monitor managers, right? So when you say the ultimate monitor of manager, we are speaking from the agency theory perspective. It's the board of directors. Okay. Now we can also look at the other factors like incorporating clauses into managerial contracts, which will encourage goal congruence, set clauses, formalize, constraints, incentives, and punishment for managers if they don't behave well. Performance-related pay, but that can be counterproductive because that can encourage managers to engage in short-term investments at the detriment of the long-term, nature, the long-term survival of the business or long-term sustainability or the long-term sustainability or the sustainability of the business. Executive share option, because we believe that if you make the managers, shareholders, they are likely to work in the best interest of the company. The debt holders can also protect themselves, manage the agency conflict by securing their debt against the assets of the company. They can also use restrictive covenants, the do's and don'ts, right? The do's and don'ts, right? So these are. Then in the notes you come across, I've tried to discuss board of directors and the legal framework in Ghana. All right. We look at some de facto director, shadow director, and all that. Right. These are all part of the same that a de facto director and the shadow director, they are all directors by operation of law. Right. They are directors by operation of law. Officially, they have not been appointed directors, but the law considers them or the law sees them as directed by virtue of their behavior or their attitude. Right. So I think our time is up, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
Our time is up.
Yes, sir.
So tomorrow we will continue, but tomorrow I would want you to have a calculator, a scientific calculator by you. Because we will do some work. We'll do some illustrations, you do some calculations and all that, right? So I would encourage you to have, to come to have a calculator by you when you come to class so that you can participate in what you are going to do. It's not difficult. I've said that I will minimize the quantitative aspects of the course so that you don't become discouraged. Okay. Then I think the following week that we are going to have another online for the whole group, Kumasi and Accra. Is it the following week?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes,
the
sir.
following week, we will have our yes. So we'll put the brakes here and continue. Thank you very much. Let me thank you for your general comportment. In fact, so far so good. You have comported yourself well. Keep it up.
Thank you.
I think the Kumasi class too. I don't know why this year. I think that the discipline is high, and I'm happy that it is so. Right, keep it up for all the models, and I think you go through smoothly. All right, and please, when I'm lecturing, listen to me attentively because I believe in, that is examination assessment is supposed to be a feedback system. It is what I am discussing with you that I'm going to examine you on to find out from you whether you have understood me. Right. So if you pay attention to my lectures, you read my listen, there's no way that you won't pass. Right. You will pass and pass well. And I want everybody to pass and pass well. Are you with me here?
Yes, Prof.
But please obey instructions. If you have to come to class, please come on time. Tomorrow, the class starts at 7. Please, you have to be online before 7. Okay, right? Yes. Don't be late. Okay, don't be late. And I think you all go through successfully. Okay. I don't want anybody to be a casualty. No, I don't. I want all of you to go through successfully. Okay. All right. So we'll see you tomorrow at exactly 7 o'clock. Right. And I think maybe class rep after tomorrow, you can just share your lesson with me. I put all the slides together and forward to you. Right. Today's and tomorrow's slides, I'll put them together and forward them to you.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Right. So enjoy the rest of your day and take good. Dennis, enjoy your day and don't mind what is it Maria has said. You are not a small boy at all.
Yes, Prof.
Okay. All right. So see you tomorrow.
Thank you very much, Prof.
All right.
Thank
you, boss. Thank you, sir.
Right. Bye-bye.
Goodbye. Prof. Salam alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Ya gida.
Alhamdulillah.
Okay. I should be.
Professor, my friend